G'day hobbyists, I'm just doing a quick video about MDF kits. It's something I've been working with recently. I didn't work with them too much over the majority of my time hobbying, so about 10-12 years or longer. It's in the last couple of years I've been getting into them. I guess I was spoiled by Games Workshop plastic kits and never really had to use MDF, but trying to do more scenery and more vehicles and non-military vehicles like utility trucks and forklifts led me to Miniature Scenery. And Miniature Scenery are an Australian company, and they do some really good MDF kits. And I found MDF kits were very affordable, which is great for hobbyists on a budget. And after a bit of experience getting some advice and tips, I've gotten pretty good results, I find, and I'll post some pictures with the video. One of the things I like to do first is, well now anyway, is I like to paint all the parts, both sides of the sheets, with a bit of PVA. Now that sort of seals the MDF, and if you do it right, you can also coat with PVA after you've assembled it, but I find this is quicker and easier to get a good result. You can get a finish on the finish with the MDF kits when you paint them that's as smooth as plastic. You just got to have the right sort of smooth coating of PVA. You can water it down a bit and you'll get a really nice smooth finish rather than the sort of more grittier wood finish. So that's one of the tips for working with these MDF kits. The other one is the little tabs that you need to cut out to get the bits out of the MDF sheet. They're just these little 1 mil wide tabs. You just take your craft knife, just cut them out, and then it should be pretty easy to push the piece out of the sheet. Sometimes you need a little sturdy tool. I tend to use my sculpting tool to sort of push some of the finer parts and get them out more easily. And you don't want to like sort of just push them on one part for a long piece or a thin piece because that can break at the other end or in the middle. And you don't want that. But MDF is pretty forgiving. You can usually fix pieces with a bit of PVA or super glue. And I've used PVA, and that's pretty good, but it can take quite a while to assemble kits. And obviously, I use it for the sealing, like the sealing coat of the kits anyway. But lately, I've been using super glue. Now, the good thing about super glue is that it's a lot faster than PVA. So rather than taking a couple of days to build an MDF kit, you can take 1 day, which I've managed to do with a fairly complicated kit. This MDF forklift by Miniature Scenery. But you have to know what you're doing. I've already assembled one of the forklifts, a slightly different design, but the majority of it's the same, so it's fairly quick and easy, and you always test fit it because you don't get many second chances with super glue. PVA is a lot more forgiving, so those are sort of pros and cons. You can use PVA, you can use super glue. The pieces, once you cut those tabs from the sheet, then you got to just sort of trim, just sort of take the piece and trim the little remainder of the tab, and that gives you a nice flat finish rather than a little raised strip. You can also, with some of the curves and stuff, just scrape along the part and get them a bit more smooth, make the curves a bit nicer. There's also ways you can chamfer edges, just cut off the angles to sort of, rather than just have all these right angles, have a sort of a 45-degree angle and sort of change the corner to a bit more angle, and can make it a little bit sleeker, a bit nicer. And that's done with some kits like the tactical response vehicles that Miniature Scenery does. That's a very neat trick. I'll just show you what I mean with the cutting the tabs out. Right, so there are some tabs here on this piece. Just cut down like so. Well, you don't even need to cut all the way through, just as long as you've gotten most of it. You just push, and the piece comes out quite easily. But it's a bit of a fine piece, so we'll use the trusty sculpting tool to push that out. And there we go. Just take this little piece and cut that remainder of the tab off. And it gives you a smoother finish. And that's that. Also, another thing Also, another thing is the slots. Sometimes the slots, when you're putting the parts together, can be a bit narrow for parts and a bit tight of a fit. That's not often the case, especially on miniature scenery. Their kits are always really good, but a few others like Mantic, their slots can be pretty tight. You can usually just trim or scrape along the pegs that go in the slots to make them fit a bit better, and that really helps. That's why you've got to test fit, because if you don't test it before putting glue on, sometimes you go to put it in the slot and you really just can't get it in, or you have to put a lot of force into it, and that often leads to breaking the parts, the pieces, which you really don't want. So yeah, you test fit, and if it doesn't fit well, you can trim up the piece to make it fit it more easily. And yeah, that's sort of tips and advice on working with MDF kits, and I definitely recommend trying some if you haven't already, and I'll put up some photos and stuff of the paint jobs, and you'll see how good the results you can get are. Here we have the before photo of the TRV from Miniatures Scenery. I've kit bashed plastic bits onto it to add more detail and different shapes. Here's the cargo truck. With these kits, they push your creativity and kit bashing skills. You can use plastic bits, clear plastic for windows. You can chamfer edges, trim the pieces up to add new shapes or make curves smoother, add different angles, that sort of thing. You can even use bits of card to create signs or license plate on the vehicles, as you see in some of the photos Miniature Scenery have of their finished kits. Anyhow, I hope this video has been helpful, giving you some inspiration to buy MDF kits and try them out in your own hobby for scenery or vehicles in your armies, stuff like that. And thanks for watching.